Welcome everyone to another episode of Retro Wrestling Reviews. Fredo Esparza here, and this week we look back at Mid-South Wrestling's April 22nd, 1982 show. But before we get to the review, be sure to click that subscribe button. We'll have more wrestling show reviews as well as the Lucha World podcast and other content available on this YouTube channel. This episode of Mid-South Wrestling was taped on April 14th, 1982 at the Irish McNeil's Boys Club in Shreveport, Louisiana, and aired on April 22nd, 1982. Boyd Pierce was joined this week by Jim Ross on commentary. The first match had Paul Orndorff beating Larry Higgins after a power slam for the pin. Orndorff dominated most of this rather short match. After the match, he drove a knee into Higgins. I think something must have happened in this match that upset Paul Orndorff that he ended up doing that at the end, because at this point in time he was already starting to turn babyface in Mid-South, although it was very brief since he ended up leaving, heading out to Georgia very quickly after these upcoming episodes of Mid-South. Second match had Iron Mike Sharp beating Ron Cheatham after he got him in a bear hug for the submission win. A couple fans started yelling "cheater" at Cheatham. Jim Ross in commentary praised Sharp and referred to him as a tremendous physical specimen. Sharp tossed Cheatham around the ring rather easily. He also showed some athleticism by catching Cheatham with a drop kick and then followed that up with a body scissors submission hold. Cheatham used some heel tactics throughout, like raking Sharp's eyes and punching, but Sharp always countered him and punished him with his strength. The match was actually not very long. First two matches on the show were very short. Third match was Velvet McIntyre beating Wendi Richter with a sunset flip for the pin. This was a good match. I recall seeing both women wrestle on WWF shows back in the 1980s, but I don't think I saw them prior to that, so this match was a pleasant surprise. Reeser Bowden started the introduction of the women's match by saying, "And now we come to the beautiful part of our event." Fast start to the match as McIntyre took down Richter a few times. Richter got McIntyre down but got kicked away. Richter went after Velvet a second time, and this time she was able to work on her left leg. Great mat work by the women. Velvet escaped a leg lock and grabbed Richter in one of her own. Wendi reached for the ropes, but Velvet pulled her off the ropes and Richter flew up in the air and landed on the mat. McIntyre got Richter in another leg lock. Richter tried to pull McIntyre's hair to escape, but instead she crawled to the ropes to escape and went to the outside. McIntyre brought Richter back into the ring. Richter escaped a leg lock and shoved Velvet to the mat. She got Velvet in a surfboard submission hold. They got to the ropes and broke the hold by Wendi shoving McIntyre into the referee. As Velvet bumped into the referee, all three rolled around on the floor in a comedy spot. Richter got upset at the referee and shoved him. Referee talked to both women trying to restore some order. Richter kicked at McIntyre a few times. Richter slammed McIntyre and then swung her by the hair. McIntyre escaped and did a cool cartwheel into a dropkick at Richter. McIntyre then arm-dragged Richter but missed the dropkick. Richter then whipped her into the ropes and went for a sunset flip, but McIntyre was able to reverse and caught Richter in a sunset flip of her own for the pin. This was a good match. After the match, Richter shoved the referee and was visibly upset. Fourth match on the show had Bob Roop and Tully Blanchard beating Buddy Landau and Kokoa Samoa after Roop hit a leg drop on Landau to get the pin. This was another good match that started with some good mat work from Landau and Blanchard. Tully quickly tagged out and Roop came in, as did Kokoa Samoa, who was tagged in as well. Kokoa Samoa got in some offense on Roop and Blanchard. He arm-dragged Blanchard and took Roop down. Landau got in the ring to help his partner out. Roop then tossed Kokoa Samoa to the outside. Landau kept Blanchard from attacking Kokoa Samoa outside the ring. Kokoa Samoa got back in the ring and quickly got a pin attempt on Roop off the top ropes. Roop broke out of the pin and tagged in Blanchard, who tried to sucker punch Kokoa Samoa. Kokoa Samoa was able to tag in Landau, who got Tully Blanchard in a headlock. Blanchard reached over and tagged in Roop. Landau took both Roop and Blanchard down and they headed to the outside. Blanchard and Roop double-teamed Kokoa Samoa and tried keeping him in the corner. They controlled a bit of the action until Kokoa Samoa fought back. Tully missed the shoulder tackle into the corner. Kokoa Samoa tagged in Landau. Kokoa Samoa got knocked to the outside and landed hard on the floor. Landell went for an atomic knee drop, but Tully was near his corner and reached out and tagged Roop. Landell tried to send Blanchard into the ropes, but he got that reverse and Roop caught him with a high knee to the head and followed that up with a leg drop for the pin. That was then followed by a recap of what happened the previous week between the Assassin and the Big Cat Ernie Ladd, including Ladd teaming with Mike Sharp against the Samoans and the Assassin and Paul Orndorff all getting involved. The fifth match on the show had the Assassin beating Terry Gibbs after hitting Gibbs with a headbutt for the pin. This was an okay match with a lot of focus on the Assassin keeping Gibbs in a headlock. They seemed to go into the same sequence over and over again with Gibbs powering out of the headlock only for the Assassin to get him back down with the headlock. The finish was solid, but way too much of a headlock in this match. Way too much. This may be one of those matches where if you're not into the old style of wrestling and you're not into like wrestlers being held down in headlocks for extended amount of time, this, even though it was a short match, will drive you a little bit crazy. They then recapped last week's Dick Murdoch versus Bob Roop match with General Skandar Akbar getting involved. The final match was a 6-man tag match with Dick Murdoch, Mr. Olympia, and the Junkyard Dog going against the One-Man Gang and the Wild Samoans with General Skandar Akbar ringside. This ended due to TV time running out. This quickly led to everyone brawling. One-Man Gang missed a splash on JYD. Murdoch grabbed his trenching tool and hit all the heels. They all head to the outside as TV time ran out. I thought this was an okay show, with the middle portion of the show being pretty good with the women and the tag match, but the other matches were just okay. Maybe cutting down on the headlock-a-thon from the Assassin and giving more time to the 6-man would have made this a better show. I thought Boyd Pierce and Jim Ross made for a fun combination on commentary. I thought they were really one of the highlights of this show, along with the women's match and the tag match. Middle part of the show was really solid. About 15 minutes worth of the show was pretty good. The rest of it you could probably skip. That's it for this review. Be sure to subscribe to the Retro Wrestling YouTube channel, and we'll be back again soon with more reviews.